Hello, guys and gals, me Mutahar, and I haven't really talked about Logan Paul in a while, and to be honest with you, he wasn't really on my radar until, of course, one update that I actually saw regarding a lawsuit involving a good friend of mine, CoffeeZilla. Now, for those of you who don't know, Coffee, or Steven, he's actually going through a lawsuit, a defamation lawsuit, surprisingly, against Logan Paul in regards to CryptoZoo. Now, I'm going to give you guys a TLDR for somebody who has no idea what CryptoZoo is. If you go to the CryptoZooWorld.com website, you'll be greeted with one of these, like, online casino ads. Great advertisement to go with. But anyways, join the most exciting crypto game and community. Now, influencers and cryptocurrency is like a nuclear bomb waiting to go off, okay? It's always going to be a bad situation, okay? Now, obviously, I'm not here to say cryptocurrency is bad, haha. I'm just here to say that cryptocurrency, which is a pretty unregulated market, and, nowadays, given a lot of the actual legal, like, passes that have been happening into it, a lot of the administration changes, this might be the perfect time to launch like a meme coin. I'm not saying that you should, but this might be the perfect time to launch it and get away with it. But CryptoZoo was actually a coin that was launched, a project that was launched by Logan Paul, where the idea was to hatch eggs, breed animals, play with hybrids, earn yield in zoo, collect NFTs, and bring them into the real world. So again, to give you an idea, all right, there was a lot of people who were thinking, what if we turned blockchains into video games? Okay, people like video games. You know, you like playing the video games. What if you could earn money off of video games? Now, I've seen takes as dumb as time, or I've seen people, large streamers, who have outright pretty much said, man, when that GTA 6 drops, imagine if you're making money through crypto.
And part of creating a server is creating your own ecosystem that's tied to a newly made coin. Maybe in that event you do.
Well,
I'm gonna
tell this chat really quick how it is. When GTA 6 drops, me and Ricky are going to make the biggest server together. We're going to do the best shit ever, and I promise you, it's going to be completely crypto, everything pro-crypto about it. It's going to change the game because GTA 6, I promise you guys, they already bought 5M. It's going to be ORP. I'll have the best and biggest server. I promise you I will. And we're going to put a lot of money into it.
And I got
Take-Two's legal enforcement policy will be aligned with our current PC single-player mods policy, with priority in enforcement actions based on misusing the trademarks, and more specifically, the commercial exploitation, selling loot boxes, or a in-game equivalent, the sale of virtual currencies, operation of a server, or by behalf of a third-party brand, generating revenue via corporate sponsorships or in-game integrations, or the use of cryptocurrencies or crypto assets for, I guess, any form of their online multiplayer official or through the roleplay. So yeah, I mean, again, it's always down to the influencers who try to push the Web3 shit the hardest that don't really think it through for more than 5 seconds. But again, to whittle it on back, CryptoZoo allowed people to become a zookeeper today. So you can join the largest zoo in the metaverse, and obviously the video game never really materialized. In fact, like CryptoZoo, you can probably dig up like an actual version of this game somewhere here real quick. Now, one user actually ended up creating the real zoo, which is apparently what CryptoZoo would have been had it actually materialized, okay? So if you want to, I guess, play what CryptoZoo could have been, this is all it really is. Now, obviously, CryptoZoo was covered pretty extensively by CoffeeZilla in a multi-part series, and he had some pretty damning things to say about CryptoZoo, and he did some pretty damning research in regards to it. It was that research that landed him a juicy lawsuit after all of this controversy, after several years of being called out, to the point where even Logan Paul goes out and pretty much actually issues like some apologies, some responses, a shitty response nonetheless. But again, there was one point where people even got like a partial refund, surprisingly. And I even covered this like actual buyback, this sort of refund scheme, where it turns out that apparently the refund scheme was also involving users allegedly giving up their rights to sue these guys in an actual class action lawsuit. Okay, so this is an ongoing situation and an ongoing serious fuck up by Logan. And I guess suing, suing the investigator on his ass is first off, may I remind you, never that great of a look. But there were some things that came out in this lawsuit that warranted me actually making this video. So in one of the actual updates here, filed February 17th, 2025, Pursuant to the federal rule of civil procedure, defendants Stephen and Coffee Break bring this motion for judgment on the pleadings and in support respectfully show. So again, in the lawsuit, Logan Paul's an internet celebrity who co-founded and relentlessly marketed an online cryptocurrency game called CryptoZoo to millions of fans. This much we've all seen. Coffee makes a 3-part YouTube series exposing the crypto scam and Paul's leading role in it. So in this lawsuit, one could say the first actual statement that got posted to X in regards of this lawsuit was this one right here, okay? Logan Paul really is the type of dude to thank you when you expose his scam, then block you when you remind him to pay up. I mean, these are all banging, okay? You can see by the 90,000, likes over here that people genuinely enjoyed this little bit of ribbon. Now, of course, in a lot of videos when investigating, you'll often see that this description comes in. This video is an opinion and in no way should be construed as statements of fact. Scams, bad business opportunities, and fake gurus are subjective terms that mean different things to different people. Now, if you ever watched one of my investigations, for instance, and you probably were annoyed by my use of the word allegedly, the reason why that word is so burned into my vocabulary when covering people like this is to protect myself from any form of lawsuit over here, okay? Again, you can't just be making a statement of fact, even when you really feel like you have all the evidence on top of you, okay? Realistically, the only people that really are going to be making statement of facts are probably legal authorities, and even they can be taken to court regarding these situations. Now, when you're actually going to be suing somebody, I really feel like there isn't an issue with the lawsuit. I really don't care if YouTubers sue each other, to be honest with you. Like, if you feel that you've actually been defamed, you should absolutely sue any content creator that you feel is defaming you, okay? If you really personally feel that, I don't really see any problem with it. However, it turns out that in this lawsuit, it really seems like Logan does not care about the truth at this point, and he actually, being the idiot that he is, fucking ruined his own lawsuit, dude. So in this recent motion to transfer and stay proceeding, if you go down all the way over here to where they actually showcase some of these messages that were brought out, look at these bangers, okay? So in the lawsuit, they claim Logan Paul is using this lawsuit to punish Coffee to the ground, okay? Whom Paul perceives as his online nemesis. Could you imagine somebody not connected to the internet reading this shit and they're like, whoa, people on the internet got nemesises? God damn. Sounds like a fucking wrestling match, huh? So when you actually look at this lawsuit, right, you can see that Logan Paul writes, lawyering up, suing this mother into the ground. And then his buddy is like, then everything will come out. Court docs, public. So his friend's kind of like being the voice of reason here. It's like, whoa, you want that to be public, bro? And Paul's like, so everybody will see what happened, for better or for worse. So obviously it sounds like a normal text message, right? Like, hey, man, I mean, he's clearly pissed, all right? He's clearly pissed that people are taking the piss out of him. So yeah, he's going on. So his friend's like, to let others know it's not worth coming at you. There's a price to pay. And Paul's like, that's the idea. Need to shut it down. Okay, so he's trying to shut it down, right? That's the idea. I see the momentum building because the throne is being shook right now. So obviously, this wouldn't have been a lawsuit-worthy thing if Coffee's videos weren't blowing up in popularity and the entire internet zeitgeist was talking about them here. So his buddy is like, public humiliation is always more effective. Totally agree, writes Paul. And then, of course, the one thing that hurts the hardest is when you really look at why Logan is trying to make this, lawsuit go. It's just to make his life difficult. I mean, here's the thing about lawsuits, okay? Like I said, I have no issue when YouTubers sue each other. If you really believe that you've been defamed and you feel like your last possibility for hey, having your image not tarnished is the legal system, then, I mean, sure, go for it. If that's really the last step you feel that you have to take, it is the nuclear option, and it's not one that comes with an easy conscience. If you feel that you're in the right, go for it. But this clearly shows that Logan doesn't really care about what's true and what's wrong, at least in my opinion. It seems all he wants to do is just silence somebody because Logan is, unfortunately, a pretty rich guy that can do that. So the more you go down over here, you'll see that Zilla will pay, one way or another. I will make sure of it. Bro sounds like a movie villain, dude. He sounds like a Bond villain here. God damn. I want people who wronged me to suffer. Oh man, this guy's a fucking nut. While I continue getting wins on their graves, bro, he's about to go up to the graveyard and go fucking the L dance. He's about to floss on him, dude. This guy's crazy. You know, I actually thought Logan was like an intelligent guy in a lot of cases. In some cases, I thought maybe there is some level of intellect, but god damn. If that's really how Logan wants to be treating this lawsuit, then I feel like there's a reasonable chance that it gets thrown out. Because it does appear, at least from the stuff that I'm reading, to be frivolously issued. Which is a pretty important thing when it comes to a defamation lawsuit. Now, I want you to understand one thing. I am not a lawyer, okay? In fact, even lawyers on YouTube cannot reasonably you can, but they cannot absolutely tell you how a case is going to blow, okay? When it comes to defamation cases, sometimes you may feel the wind blows in a certain direction, and it really doesn't blow in that direction when the final judgments get delivered. So in a case like this, obviously Logan typing like a supervillain doesn't exactly look good to any judge, jury, or legal body that exists in the United States, no matter which state that he wants to actually issue in. But one of the things that I've really found with this is that Logan comes across as somebody who absolutely has no real empathy for any of these situations. I mean, it's funny that this guy recently him and his brother had like a reality TV show because, again, I mean, it is America. They're going to have a reality TV show on every dumbass. But like, you'll come across stuff like this. It just makes you laugh. Like, watch this.
Come across like a woke asshole, but like, dude, women have it hard.
I actually just wanted to show that clip because I thought it was actually hilarious. I don't want to come across as woke, boys, but you know, I think women don't exactly have things super duper easy. Maybe I got that little empathy in me. You know, he kind of develops empathy at like his 30s alongside, I guess, iDubbbz at this point, which I think is hilarious. I mean, maybe it's just stunted development, whatever the fuck you want to call it. But the thing about it is like, obviously, you know, you look at a clip like that and you start to really realize that this guy's kind of like a blow where the winds are sort of dude. You know, it wasn't too long away from like the impulsive rant about being, you know, you can't just not be, you have to be anti-racist, like crazy stuff, okay? Like, you know, he's very much playing to like a crowd. He very much wants to like build an image. But I think it's hilarious when he talks about empathy and everything of this nature, when he literally has this lawsuit where he's alleged to have been speaking from a completely unempathetic standpoint. Like, I don't have an issue, again, like I said, with YouTubers suing each other. You know, at the end of the day, if you really feel you've been defamed, sure. But based on what I've read, he doesn't really care, in my opinion, about being defamed. He just cares mostly that, you know, he was caught, things looked bad, the videos criticizing him got viral, and, you know, he never really had any logical, real counter to it. It was just, let me destroy this person's livelihood because I'm very rich. And that's the problem with, like, American, like, legal systems, is that even if you're right, you know what I mean? Let's just say that your coffee wins a court case against Logan Paul, which could happen, or it could not happen, right? I mean, realistically, it's like a coin flip at this point when it comes to defamation lawsuits. And the thing about it is, no matter what the outcome is, both sides will spend an exorbitant amount of money. Like, if you don't know how much it costs for defamation law in the United States, and I know I do, it will be around, like, I would say the cheapest you might be able to go to if you were, and again, I just looked at California State, probably like $900 per billable hour. You know, like per hour these people are charging. Like it can be $1,000, and then you're adding multiple extra fees on top of it, right? No matter how you slice this, the actual like when it comes to media and defamation cases, which require pretty specialized lawyers, you will absolutely be paying a premium amount when it comes to any form of like defamation law, right? And defamation in a lot of cases, right? Like whether you be in California, which is probably the best state to be in if you're the defendant, from what I understand, of a defamation lawsuit, because of the strong anti-SLAPP motions and laws around them. But again, if you're going with a defamation lawsuit where there's a serious case to be made, you can bypass those SLAPP motions. You can seriously take these things to court and financially destroy. I mean, financially, really, even if you win, it's a Pyrrhic victory, right? Like, you've spent so much money in the process that, you know, ultimately, you're going to be spending years rebuilding that, you know, war chest again, right? And from what I understand, even with like Coffey's like legal insurance, even that was managing to not necessarily play along with him. So there are so many things, so many factors that come into play over here. But when you look at somebody like Logan, it's like, dude, there is evil, and then there is like super evil scumminess, which again, all he cares about is I got caught. Let me find a way to completely destroy this person, which honestly is a great play from my look at Coffey's lawyers, because it is a way for them to try to dismiss this case. Because if there was anything that would show frivolity, it would be the fact that this person literally just wants to use the legal system to abuse somebody else, all right? They don't care about their defamation, it seems, as much as they care about using it to legally harm someone, financially destroy somebody in the process. And I don't know if Logan's a billionaire. I think he probably is at this point. If he isn't, he's pretty damn close to it. I wouldn't be shocked if, again, this is the overlying motivation. It's like, you're big, you're above everybody else, might as well shut people down, right? And that's why, pretty much any creator that isn't Logan Paul has to bankroll a lawsuit, or at least, run an extra business, if anything, whether they be selling merch or something, to build the funds for this. And it kind of leads me into, another defamation case that recently happened with Karl Jobst. So let's kind of go there. So for anybody that doesn't know, Karl Jobst actually lost a defamation case in Australia against Billy Mitchell. And it kind of blew the entire internet apart a little bit, because we kind of had a bombshell drop on us, like at least me personally, where the actual lawsuit was not so much focused on the cheating allegations regarding Billy Mitchell, but it was actually in regards to, again, Karl actually being sued for pinning the suicide allegedly onto Billy Mitchell. Apollo Legend, another YouTuber, his suicide onto Billy Mitchell. And the thing is, obviously, that's a severe no-no. That's actual defamation, as was exposed in the actual Australian courts. And in this situation, looking further into it, right? Like when you look at Karl and you look at a lot of the way that he covered this entire lawsuit journey, his entire case against Billy, which any lawyer would tell you to just stay completely quiet. Like, just speak as much as you're legally allowed to speak. Karl made complete content of it, and in my opinion, and the opinion of many others, he wasn't completely honest with how he actually showcased this lawsuit. The problem with the lawsuit is that he kind of really pushed the narrative, and he really pushed the idea of Billy cheating on this high score for Pac-Man or Donkey Kong or whatever game. I think it was Donkey Kong. But it wasn't really going on him for what was the actual, piece of, defamation, which was the, Apollo Legend suicide stuff. And at that moment in time, Billy Mitchell won. He won a judgment, and I'm sure it might get appealed down the road, but Billy absolutely won that case. And of course, one of the things that came up was Billy, being the shit poster that he is, even if you hate this guy, you almost have to love him for the fact that he is a chronic shit poster. So one user goes, ironically, your victory against Karl will most likely help Gerard in his case to establish character and Karl's habit of making absolute statements. Only 2 judges in Brisbane hear defamation cases. Karl Jobst would enter the trial already known by the court. If the completionist sues Karl Jobst for defamation, he will win. So in amongst all of this, I never really got mentioned in all of this, but one commenter actually writes pretty well. Billy Mitchell may have won a lawsuit, but that doesn't mean he isn't a dumbass. This statement is pretty dumb. Again, when it comes to lawsuits, especially with Gerard and me and Karl, I've always been pretty upfront and ready over here. Anytime I've investigated somebody, we've always welcomed a possible lawsuit. I mean, you never welcome it, you never get excited about it, but you know that it could happen, right? Now, obviously, when it comes to the state of California, between me and Karl, I believe the statute of limitation on defamation is already up, but nothing stops him from getting an extension down the road. I'm pretty sure if he can go for that and still sue us. Which at that moment in time, again, the way that I covered that story and the way that Karl covered the story, which again, I can think kind of parallels with Noah's stuff as well too, just previously, is when you're not completely if you're working in absolutes, right? If you're making absolute sounding statements versus my ass that goes allegedly, allegedly, allegedly. I don't even go super salacious into the videos. I literally only show what I can prove with documents, interviews, in this case, interviewing Gerard actually on a call. I only go with what I can prove in my videos without, in my opinion, a shadow of a doubt, okay? That's what I go with. And that's why when the lawsuits got threatened with the completionist situation, I'm like, sure, bring it, baby. I mean, I don't really fucking care. We'll go to court. Well, I'm pretty sure there are two parties in this. There's one party in this entire lawsuit that does not want the word discovery anywhere near them, and it ain't fucking me. So yeah, it's one of those things where, again, lawsuits are super duper wild. And I really feel like the more and more I read up and I'm involved and I'm looking at defamation lawsuits, the more confusing and honestly, the more Vegas it kind of sounds, right? Like it really feels like you kind of are throwing a fucking coin flip in the air, because realistically, even if you think the wind blows in one direction, it literally could just immediately slam in the other. So again, it's one of those situations where you don't count your chickens at all, right? But ultimately, the end of all this, it's like, it is a pretty dirty situation to get down to. Getting sued sucks. Getting sued absolutely sucks financially. Getting sued sucks in every single capacity. But in a lot of cases, it's used for, again, protecting your image. And in the case of Billy Mitchell, even if you dislike the guy, he had to protect his image from a serious piece of defamation. As I feel like I have to protect myself, as does co-counsel Ethan Klein. But in the case of Logan Paul, it really just feels, with the text messages that have come out, he does not give a shit about like the truth. He does not give a shit about, I would say, the defamation at all. He just cares about this guy calling him out, rightfully so, and how can he stomp him to an absolutely nth degree. And at that point, like, I have seen and covered and have interacted with so many scumbags on this platform, but I really think Logan takes a special kind of cake regarding this. Like, what a guy, dude. Anyways, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.